this is my, I have so many things to talk about, and I know that I don't have a lot of time. But first I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I want to start by saying we've all heard the quote, physician, heal thyself. You know, we're all pretty familiar with it and what that means. But I question if we truly know that to be true, if we actually understand that we are our physicians and that our bodies are wise, that there is nothing wiser. No physician can know us as well as we know us, but we have stopped listening to that deep, innate part of us in lieu of going to the doctor and saying, what's wrong with me? Well, we know what's wrong with us, truly, but we live in a time where we allow our brains to take over in our lives. And truly, thinking has its place, but not in every single moment. It's good if you're going to cross the street, like, you have to decide when's the best time to go, or, there's times if you're doing a math problem, yeah, you need your brains. But for living, no, we need our guts. We need our hearts and spirit and soul. And we tend to forget about that. And so I really, and the reason I'm saying that is because I've come up with understanding that within myself over this past year because of many changes in my life. And it's very important to know your body, know its strengths, and understand when it's time to go to the doctor. But for the most part, if we get some type of signal from our bodies, which I like to say is a red flag, what do you do with that? How do you listen to that? How do you perceive? In my limited practice, I would have people come to me and they'd say, I need to make a change. I've been going down this road and this isn't working and I'm having all these problems. Can you help me? And I say, sure. And so I'll sit down and I'll learn about who that person is. And it's not just about what you eat, it's about what you think, it's about what you say, it's about how you live your life and your intentions. And inevitably we'll sit down and I'll give like 3 ideas for things to do, and they'll go, I can't do that. It's like, well, if you want to change, you have to be willing to put effort into that change. When we live our lives, and we might be going down this road, and it's kind of going towards the cliff. We're going in a direction that's kind of unhealthy, and it gains momentum as it's going. And when you realize that something has to change, and like you put some effort into it and nothing happens, it's easy to go, oh, well, that's not working. Well, if you're rolling down a hill, it's going to take a lot of effort to stop it from rolling before you can push it back up. But we don't want to do that. We want the instant gratification. That's just not going to happen. Instant gratification means that you're going to pay for it on the other side. That's what happens. So how are we going to live? And are we going to say, oh, I'm too old now to do that? It's like, Jack LaLanne would never say that. And he is one of my heroes. I think he was 89 or something when he died, and I'm sure that he was as surprised as everybody else when he died from something that probably, like, it could have been, 10 years from then, but it just happened. And of course, it's going to happen to everybody. But we're never too old. So I love this little quote from Jack LaLanne. So many older people, they just sit around all day long and they don't get any exercise. Their muscles atrophy, they lose their strength, their energy and vitality by inactivity. And inactivity is not just about moving our muscles. It's about how we live our lives. It's about, again, what we think, what we say, what we do. And that is truly, in holistic nutrition, holistic is all of those things that we bring into our lives and our intentions. We eat what we think, and we hold. So one of the things that I think is really important is when we say that, oh, you're holding on to that. Well, we all hold on to things. And where does that go? It goes in our bodies. We hold that in our bodies. We hold anger, usually here. We hold pain. Well, pain can go everywhere. But what happens is we manifest disease from the things that we hold on to. And I think it's really important to allow the things that that we are holding on to bring them up and to release them, so that that's part of our healing. We can't heal until we actually truly let them go. I like this quote by Willie Jolly, and he says, "The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence." And that's really a great quote, because it is true that we tend to look at ourselves and identify ourselves by where we came from, but where we came from brought us to here. And we all have pain in our lives. We all have things that we have to deal with, and how do we deal with them, and how do we live our lives the best we can at every moment, despite all the things that happened to us, with us, because of us, or not because of us. That's the real challenge, is to, it's always walking that fine line, but walking it, as Don Juan from Carlos Castaneda's book would say, a path with heart. And that's the only path worth walking on. So I want to read, and to me, nutrition, again, is about everything. It's not just about what we eat, but it is a huge part of it. And I've honestly been feeling a little bit angry because, and I have to, bring it up and I'll let it go, because I've been the general manager of the Real Food Co-op, and it has been actually my pleasure and also a huge stress to manage it, trying to help it stay alive. And unfortunately, it just didn't work. And one of the things that I feel is like, isn't it interesting, there are 2 Subways in town, 2, and a McDonald's, and I don't know what else. Taco Bell. And they're doing, what's that? Yeah. They're doing great, but we can't support a co-op. What's up with that? I mean, people will say, oh, it's too expensive to eat organic. Okay, well, how many people go out to breakfast? Do you know how much it costs to go out to breakfast? At least $10, at least. You can buy a dozen organic eggs, let's say for $5 or $5.50. you have 2 eggs in the morning, that's less than 50 cents, piece of organic bread, some organic vegetables, and maybe cheese if you like it, or whatever, or meat if you eat it, for a lot less than $10. My other argument is some people say that, it's too expensive to eat organic, and so, they would prefer to go to the store and spend maybe 30 or 40 cents less for a can of beans or whatever. So on the one hand, we go in and we buy and we eat this way because we're saving money. But you're not saving money at the other end when you have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the doctors because you ate that way in the first place. Rather, preventative means we eat consciously, we eat organically, we don't support genetically modified foods that are genetically modifying us because we take them in, and how do they affect us? We are just chemicals and electric and water, and we are absorbing everything that we eat. So preventative means we eat as well as we can. That doesn't mean we have to eat 100% organic, but I think that it's really important to eat our staples organically, like our oils and our rice, our grains, our beans, the things, the proteins. And then, like I go to the store and I get Brussels sprouts. Well, they don't have them organic, but I figure, well, okay, there's give and take. But for the most part, you try and eat organically, and in that way, on the other end of your life, you have the vitality, you have the energy, and you're not spending hundreds. Hopefully, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but you have a much better chance of living a healthier life by doing it on this end rather than on that end. And it doesn't mean there's never a time where it's too late. Never ever a time that it's too late. It's just making a decision that that's important. And so I just wanted to, because I really like the things that you all have been talking about and reading, and how I love the community of this and the things that you say, and it's very poetic. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with Mark Nepo. Well, he is an amazing man who had cancer, and he started writing about his journey. And I just liken this to life in general, and I just wanted to read this. We often move away from pain, which is helpful only before being hurt. Once in pain, it seems the only way out is through. Like someone falling off a boat, struggling to stay above the water, only makes things worse. We must accept we are there, and settle enough so that we can be carried by the deep. The willingness to do this is the genesis of faith, the giving over to currents larger than us. Even fallen leaves float in lakes, demonstrating how surrender can hold us up. And I really feel that we are a leaf. We want to think that we are kind of in charge of our lives, and we are to a point, but I also feel that, and it comes back to the same thing. It's like, what are our intentions, and do we love? And that's going to be our current. And we ride our waves and we come together because our energies come together. Not because we willed it to be, but because that's just the nature of things. And when we we're able to float down across the water instead of sink, and know that we have to trust in something beyond what we can see. I think that we can live a really beautiful and courageous life. And it does take courage to live. It really does. Daily, to not sink into the depths of despair. And that is part of living healthy, is remembering that in the darkness there's always light, even when we can't see it. And it kind of makes me cry to think about it. And I also wanted to introduce you to a man named Mark David. He wrote, one of the books I read from him is called Nourishing Wisdom. And one of the quotes I got, which I know I don't have a lot of time, but holistic again is not only what you eat and think and feel, but what you put on your bodies and what you wash your clothes in and what products you use to clean. Everything that we put against our skin goes into us. Our skin is a breathing system, and it lets go of things, and it also brings things in. And he says to use skincare products that you can almost eat. And the same is true for the things that we wash our clothes in. We don't need those chemicals. Those chemicals are the reason that all this stuff is happening in the world, and every time we buy it, we support it. It's simple. It's so simple. It's about simplifying our lives. It's about refining. And if you can't understand the words that are on a bottle, don't buy it. I don't even have to put my glasses on. I can see that that's not something I want to buy. And you can spell it half the time too. He says life itself is your proper meal. And the last person I want to talk about, and I don't know how many people are familiar with Norman Cousins.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it. He totally changed his life. He was dying, basically. He was told that he only had a certain amount of time to live. And he went home and he went, I'm not going to listen to the doctors. And I'm not here to say don't listen to the doctors. The doctors are great. The doctors have their place, but we have our place. And we have to remember that we have a place in our medicine. We are our medicine. But he went home and he bought every Marx Brothers movie and anything that was funny, and he laughed himself healthy. And he lived another decades. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but yes, so humor and all of those things are a huge part of what makes us healthy, and community, and it's wonderful to be in this room with you. Thank you for listening, and I can see that you're not like one of those dogs that goes. So thank you very much. Well, are there questions?
Questions? I have a question.
Yes.
So what about, because this is a concern, if you love to swim and exercise, what about the chlorine, can get into your skin? And I was told before by a health person to take certain, zinc and something, or I was thinking maybe energetically I could, make it so that chlorine and all of that doesn't go into me, because you're in a huge body of chlorine.
I know, that is, and you can smell it when you're walking down the hall before you even get in there. I'm not sure. There are different things that you can ingest that help bind toxins and pull them out of your body, like charcoal is one, but there are other things that are chelating agents. Chelating means that they grab and then they pull, they bring them out. They bring to either the surface through sweating or, through the kidneys, or there's a couple of ways. But I would think it would probably be good to drink a lot of water. And water is really, if you want to read a great book, his name is, he's an Indian name.
Bad name, Jim.
Yeah, yeah. You're not sick, you're thirsty is the name. But water is the number one nutrient. And so I would suggest drink at least 2 to 3 glasses of water before you go swimming, and then at least a couple of glasses of water before you swim.
And that brings
I mean, after you swim.
one other quick thing, because
Yeah.
I've been here 5 years and I've wanted to get the fluoride out of Florence's water. So, even for animals and everything, so that's another concern, is the quality of our water
Yeah.
and what's being put into our water.
Right. Yeah, and that is a huge concern. And I don't know what it's going to take, because it's almost like we'd have to get an army to truly force them to, and go to a meeting, call an emergency meeting of 200 people and say, we don't want this, or more, you know what I'm saying? That it has to be a concerted effort. And I know that, I don't know how many people showed up to, whether it was one meeting or a number of meetings where they were trying to fight fluoride. And it's also about education. A lot of people don't understand what happens when you put fluoride in and how that, fluoride is actually, it is part of how our bodies work. Just like we need trace amounts of metals, but they're in trace amounts. We don't have, you're not supposed to be eating it every day. So, yeah, that's a real concern.
Yeah. And we just learned that the Hasidah district, which the fellowship hall is in, does not, as far as we know so
No,
far,
it
does
doesn't.
not fluoridate.
Nope.
That I know.
It's not. It is better water. And I take my water, a friend of mine, Jill Harden, she gave me these blue bottles, so I fill them with the water and then I put them up on the window, and it, what do you call it when it,
Evaporates off.
well, it does help evaporate, because I smell something in it, so I let it evaporate, but it livens the water. Yeah.
The blue, isn't it the blue light or something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what it is that it does, but it's supposed to be better for you. Yeah. An interesting fact, 9 gulps of water equals 1 cup. Yes, 1 cup. So some people, and this is another interesting fact, as we age, we lose our sensation of thirst. Now, I have never really been a thirsty person, and so that really goes against me. I have to think about it, so I put it on my phone, and it'll go, and I'll go, oh, water. And sometimes I'll remember to go and actually drink some water, and sometimes I won't. But it's very important, because if you pee and you look at your pee and it's yellow, you're dehydrated. So what does that mean? To be dehydrated means that water is being sucked out of your vital organs, and and water is what we need to live. And I believe it's 95% of our water goes to our brains, and then whatever's left will go to everything else. And you can't get your water from your food. That's not included, yeah, or your coffee. And so, how much more time do I have? inflamed society. We have inflammatory things going on in our bodies. Our bodies are more alkaline than they are acidic, but we eat more acidic than we do alkaline. Alkaline foods are vegetables and fruits. Acidic, and there's more, and acidic foods are meats and cheese and eggs and things like that. And so when we are too acidic, it begins the process of inflammation. And inflammation is what creates disease. Inflammation, anything that's red, usually hurts. Pain, heat. And in Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, it's all about releasing hot, or if we're too cold, bringing in more warming. So we are always in a place, our bodies are always trying to balance, always trying to balance. And that's where it's very important to understand and learn about your bodies and what they need. And go, am I too hot? Am I too cold? Am I sleeping at night? If you're not sleeping, insomnia is a sign of inflammation because you're constantly going. You don't have any downtime. You're not relaxed. And there's many forms of that. There's so many things that are so interesting about that, but it's a really important thing. You know, like if you incorporate one thing, it's learning about acidic foods and alkaline foods. We need between 9 and 14 servings of vegetables a day. So how many people get that? Okay, that's not very many. So a serving is 1 cup if it's a leafy vegetable, and a half a cup if it's like broccoli or cauliflower, something that's a hard, carrots. That would be a half a cup. So for breakfast, who does vegetables for breakfast? That's not very much. We need vegetables breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you will find, if you have any problems of constipation, when you start eating vegetables for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and green leafy vegetables, I don't care if you don't like them, make sauces, whatever you can do to get them down. You won't have that problem anymore with water. And it really will make all of the difference. But you can Google alkaline acidic foods and get a list of vegetables and fruits and print them up and check off the ones you like and go to the store and get them and keep them in your house. And slowly but surely things will change and adjust. So thank you very much.